Hoy there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to Football Talks. We are almost done with the season. I am joined by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
Hey, oh my God.
This time we are done with the championships. The two teams to go to the Super Bowl 50, have been selected. We are just in a bit of a calm before the storm. It's a long calm, mind you. The only thing to keep you interested at all, if anything, is two things. The Pro Bowl that's this Sunday. In fact, the draft starts tomorrow, at least at the time of this recording. I probably won't watch it. I'm hoping that the players I like do good, like Hopkins,
Right.
or the other alternative is the day before the Super Bowl, the NFL honors. Of course, we will have our own awards. And Bill, can we at least mention what our categories will be, just to get them, just to
Yep.
tease for what we got? Okay.
Yep. Yep. Next week, one of our categories will be Coach of the Year.
We also have worst coach of the year, which you already know. If anyone's listened to these long enough, you know who mine is going to be. But those that don't, keep it a surprise for the few.
We also have the Offensive MVP of the league.
We got the defensive as well, and the rookies too. But of
Oh, man.
course, Bill,
Oh.
we also have two more. Those are the big ones. One we just added before we started recording because
Yep.
it needed to be.
The worst organization of the year.
Oh boy. I'm
That's the award everyone wants to receive.
Yep. I mean, we were gonna do worst player, which if we had to pick, you and I both agree perfect, but that's just, it's kind of tasteless in a way. This one's a little more funny
Yep.
because we didn't bring it upon you. You brought it upon yourself.
Yep.
But anyway, what's the big one, Bill? The one everyone talks about.
And that is the overall MVP of the league. It is going to be an amazing. Uh, I already have mine picked out. It just I want to wait until next week
Same
because
here. I've got almost all of mine picked out. I might change some, but
obviously there next week is going to be the doldrums. It's gonna be boring. You know, the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl will probably be like 65 to 58, and no one really cared.
I'm thinking 24-21. I don't
You
know.
know,
Something tells me that they'll probably be incorporating some other, like last season they had the shorter goalposts. Don't ever do that again, NFL. Don't ever do
yeah,
it.
that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Uh,
Uh,
it felt. I remember there was a joke. Someone made a fat shaving joke out of that to the goalpost. I laughed, and I'm like, it's like I laughed at that, but I'm like, no, don't ever do it again because I don't care if we have the best kickers on there. They don't deserve that. They're trained to have at least a fair. I think the range now is fair. It's not perfect. Any
I'm,
bigger, and I think you'd be cheating. And any
I'm
smaller, I feel you're also just playing to screw someone over.
I'm still in the old camp where leave the extra points alone from where they were. It wasn't broken. Why fix it? You know,
You
it,
could argue it
just
cost a team a chance to win on
yeah.
Sunday, but
I mean, Goskowski, and well, we'll get to that, but Goskowski missing that extra point really changed the complexion of the game.
had they got it, they would have just had to do an extra point to tie the game.
Maybe it's just old school me, but I want to see old school football. I don't want to see I want to see a score like 15 to 6 or 15 to 9 or 15-11. Who the hell wants to see 15 to 11?
I do like the college one in one way, even though I never pay attention to them. Is that sometimes when the best games put up a lot of points, like the college championships that happened recently,
Yeah.
like that put up like 30, like 35, 33. Sometimes you go to 50s. I mean, we had a game that did that over 100 points total. That was the Saints Giants game earlier in the year. I'm like, wow, those are the games that you don't see that often in the NFL because you have nothing but the best here at all times. But it's still a fun
Yeah,
thing to see.
I'd rather see teams be evenly matched and the kicking game not be the deciding factor for if one team misses an extra point. Well, obviously the better 4-12 team won because they have a better kicker than the 11-5 team. I just maybe that's just me. You know, just because you have a great kicker doesn't mean that it should determine if you win or lose games. What should determine if you win or lose games is if your offense plays good and your defense plays good and your special teams plays good.
Yep.
All
So there are
three
some
things
teams who
is
cling to
fine.
nothing but special teams to generate points sometimes. That was like the Eagles of last year, not this season, the last season before.
Right. Yep.
You have teams like that rely heavily on that to do anything, and they go from there. But anyway, um, we should get started, Bill. We will talk. We were not going in order because the first game was actually the best because everyone thought, oh, the first game's going to be a blowout for the Patriots. Will knock them out because the Denver defense was not doing anything, and then this other one, Carolina Arizona one, should be like the best game, probably better than the Super Bowl. But no, the NFL shows us that we are wrong once again. Why even try to predict? Why are we even just flip a coin at this point? That's a better way to predict a score or to predict a game than just, trying to analyze because this postseason nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is absolute. I guess that's what adds the more charm to the sport in a way that you can't control it, you can't predict what it does. But at the same
Exactly.
time, it makes you feel stupid.
It is what it is, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
You
Oh,
know?
what? At the end, the really the people who get pissed off are the media analysts who say they know football all the time.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. Usually the players do, and the ones that say you can't really predict how a game will go. I guess they're the ones having the last laugh. So let's start with the NFC game, where this was a battle between two MVP candidates, Carson Palmer, Cam Newton. To put it in perspective, Bill, I said this before we started our recording, and I think it's perfect. It perfectly describes it. Watching this game reminded me a lot of yesterday's Golden State Warriors game hosting the San Antonio Spurs, two of the best teams in the league, and they're both in the same conference. You knew this; it would come down to this, and it'll be a great game, go back and forth, come down to the last minute maybe. Not at all.
Yep.
It was a blowout for Blake with the Spurs, and I'm still so hurt from that. It's like, oh, you could maybe say, oh, what if the Cardinals were completely healthy and had Honey Badger, like how the Spurs had Tim Duncan? No, I don't think that would have mattered. It would have been maybe a easier game for them, but when you turn the ball over, more than Hoyer, how many times did Hoyer turn over the ball, Bill? They say 5. Really, it was 6. How
Right.
many times did Carson Palmer turn the ball over?
Too many to count.
6. 7, I think, if you count Peterson's fumble when he tried to return a punt.
Yeah, and then I don't count that as part of Carson Palmer's fault.
Yeah, but the Cardinals as a whole just they buff they how do you what's that word I'm looking for?
They
It starts with a B.
muffed the punts.
They muffed the punts. They just
They got absolutely pub stomped.
just
They
like the
just,
Spurs, they got waxed. There was no
Yeah.
hope. The first quarter was enough to tell you this was not going the way you wanted it to. Not just for a
Exactly.
Cardinals fan, or in my case, a Spurs fan, but just for a casual fan of the sport in general. It was over. It was like you may as well have left the game unless you were a fan of the winning team, because then you're having the time of your life. And I swear, every time the Panthers score a touchdown, they just give a football to a kid that's in the side. So if you're a Carolina Panthers fan and you want to win a ball, just sit on either end zone as close to the wall as you can. You might get a ball.
And just think what that does for ticket sales of those seats right there.
I really
The-
want to talk about ticket sales too, Bill, but for Houston. But finish what you're gonna say.
they that can jack those seats up because you never know if you're getting a souvenir, and obviously everyone wants to go to a game and get a souvenir. And
Can a player get in trouble for giving them the ball? Technically, it's the NFL.
I don't know why the NFL would do something stupid like that, but then again, it's the NFL.
You know, you can get fined for tossing the ball to a person. Like say you're looking up there, you don't want to jump because you're just like right at the wall. You need momentum to jump that high. You just like, oh, here you go, just toss it up in the air. That's a $1,000 fine, I think. And throwing it, just chucking it at someone's $5,000. Because I remember Andre Johnson got that fine on the final year he was with Houston.
Yeah, well,
but the NFL's a giant. No, you know the no fun allowed picture? I'll put it up in the video if I remember. That's basically what they are. They're the robot, literally a robot that just puts no fun allowed.
Yep.
But so Bill, Cam Newton played incredible. It's clear he is the MVP for the NFL. I don't think there's any hope for anyone else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if they lost, it would have taken Carson Palmer to do the exact same thing to Cam Newton's Panthers to have a chance. And I don't think that would have been enough anyway. It's been very clear Cam Newton is like, do you remember when Russell Wilson was having this type of year 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl?
He was having this type of year, but I'll put it this way. The Panthers' running game is nowhere near what the CL running game was 2 years ago. But I'll put it this way. Carolina, in that game, showed me one thing, and one thing only, is what I said when I was previewing the game for our picks, is that they have a great defense. And, I mean, a great defense will win you games, and they have two of the best linebackers in the game, Kuechly and Mike Davis. I mean, they
have also one of the best secondary players. I thought he was like number 3.
Yeah.
To me, he's like number 3 on my list because
Norman.
What I'd really like to do one day, I don't think we'll have time this season, just make a top 5 players of a position. Not all positions, just the more commonly associated ones, like linebacker, inside and out, wide receiver, and secondary players, and of course, everyone has a QB one. We all have those. Obviously, I say Brady's the best, but Cam Newton's now like top 5 for sure. I can't deny it. I want to, but I can't. At least this season. At least just this season.
Yeah.
But it was not just that. I told you this before we recorded, but Ted Ginn Jr. being there, of course, he had to stick it to his old team, and I think that's why he really played. He wanted to have a chance. So not only do you stick it to your team, you beat them in prime time in the title game. This had been one of the most brutal title games I've ever seen in my life so far.
Yeah.
It's kind of disappointing. I was hoping for one as great as last season's. The Packers-Seahawks game will always be a top 5 game of all time in my heart. And that's because that same Seattle team had another one in the Super Bowl. That's the best Super Bowl I've ever seen so far. Whether this one, Super Bowl 50, can top that, I don't know. I don't think it will, but I'd like to be wrong.
I think this is when we get to the preview next week, I really think I'm going to say probably the same thing, but I think this is going to be a defensive slugfest type game.
Yep. We'll get to our initial picks because you and I are going to go off of just what we know now because a lot can change in a week or two.
Yep.
Because this is a long calm before the storm. These players are going to have plenty of rest, plenty of time to look at film, and plenty of time to practice before it comes down to this. So to put in perspective how bad the Cardinals really shot themselves in the foot. It was like, what, 14? No, it was 21-7 or something like that. Before halftime, there was less than a minute because Cam Newton throws a horrible pick. That was one of his few lowlights to it. Otherwise, would have been an amazing game by him.
Yeah, an immaculate game.
Because Patrick Peterson, I still think he's a better corner. He still got shredded to an extent, but he did his job. Even though he muffed a punt, he had a redemption moment where he just took that thing nearly all the way. The Cardinals, 2 timeouts left, less than a minute. They didn't have much to worry about. They were at least able to put 3 points if they couldn't get it in within their first 3 downs. First play forces it into the end zone. It's picked off too, and the Panthers, not wanting to take another chance, just kneel the ball and go into halftime with the lead. Had they have scored a touchdown and got the extra point, all of a sudden it would have made a bit of nice momentum change, and who knows, maybe it still would have been a blowout. It could have been a near 50-point bomb on on the Cardinals, but who knows? Maybe it might have been different because the Cardinals would have had some motivation. It's like, okay, we put up another touchdown. It's a one-score game. We can catch up and maybe beat them.
Right.
But you want to know, Bill? You want to know how bad the Panthers had them in the palm of their hands? It was the fourth quarter. The Panthers got a pick six. Luke Kuechly takes one in for a pick six, I believe. What do? They don't kick the extra point. They go for 2, and they got it. And then they have another situation with this, but they go for the extra point. If I were them, I would have loved to go for 2 again, just because. Hey, it's a 2-point conversion practice rep at this point with another team. What?
You go, if you're playing in the NFL, you play to, see, I guess maybe it's just me, but I would play and I would just try to embarrass the other team out of the building.
They did it once, and they could have done it again. It would have been, had they got it, it would have been 50-15. And if they didn't, it would have been 49-15. Those 2 points would have made a bigger impact. 50 burger, Bill. That's disgusting.
See, I'm of the mindset that I want to send a message to whoever I'm playing. You know,
it would have been we would have known it's Denver. So you would, in this case, he had sent a message to Denver.
I want to send a message to Denver, and okay, this is what we can do to a good team. This is now let's tangle in the Super Bowl. You know.
Yeah.
But they didn't send that message. I
think they still sent a message. I think it would have been a little bigger than 50 points.
I mean, let's say the message is if you are down in the playoff game, we're going to step on your throat.
Yeah.
Is basically what that's basically the message. You try to embarrass and choke out the team. You're in the game to win a championship. That's all you're there for. You want to win championships. You step on a team's throat, no matter what happens. I don't care if your best friend's on the opposing team. You go and embarrass that team. That's just me.
The clown suit on.
I'm a Belichick guy. I'm of that mindset. Is if I'm up 30 points, I need to be up 40 because I'm not going to feel comfortable at 30. And if I'm up 40, I want to be up 50 because I'm not going to feel comfortable at 40. You know?
I'll say this. I really hope, because this is a little unrelated, I really hope the Panthers wear their black uniforms to match the Broncos' whites.
Oh, jeez.
I like their black uniforms a lot, so I would like a nice uniform matchup. But I will say the Panthers. I think that I think you would disagree with this, but if they, based on what I saw this last game, and if I were to go on that alone, I think they learned their lesson from the Seattle game. Don't let go of the gas. Keep playing, because you're not only gonna get better, you're also going to send a message, like you said just now, to the other team that you're going to play next.
Yep.
And if they've learned that lesson, Peyton Manning cannot play from behind. The reason why I think he did so well in this next game, which we're going to talk about soon, is because he had a lead the whole way. What if he was playing from behind, Bill? He probably would have made those mistakes. But because he wasn't, because the defense did the job for him and put him in good positions,
right,
he was able to make safe choices, not take too many chances, and just overall play a clean game and not do anything too risky that could jeopardize their chance to go to the Super Bowl. And of course, it paid
Right.
off.
Yeah. So I'll put it this way. I feel like whatever was going to happen was going to happen in that game.
The
You know,
Panthers game.
in the Denver New England game.
All right, but Bill, I'm gonna say something about the Cardinals before they go. I had a lot of faith in them, and I'm not dismissing them. In fact, I think next year, if I had to pick next year's Super Bowl right now, not just going off a hunch, I'd really love for Houston Dallas, but that ain't happening. That ain't happening, especially since as long as O'Brien has a man crush on Hoyer, never. I wouldn't even want it. I would not allow it. But if I had to pick, it would probably be the Cardinals Patriots again, because the Cardinals are their window's closing. Honestly, you might argue it's shut because Palmer's getting older. He's 36. He's probably going to turn 37 this year. So I don't see him having a chance to win it in 3 years. In fact, he probably has at best 2 more years left in him. So, and of course, there's Larry Fitzgerald getting older. He's great. I think he's one of the best, like, of the past decade. Like,
Yeah.
because what are the top ones of the past 20 years? There's
Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson,
Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne.
and the latter half, the early part of the last 20 years, Jerry Rice.
Yeah, but I'm going
Because
off. Well, let me rephrase that. Starting from the turn of the new century.
From the turn of the new century, Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald,
Andre Johnson.
Randy Moss, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne.
I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, we were saying the greats from, like, the past, in this case, 16 years. You
Yeah.
said Calvin Johnson, Andre Johnson.
Calvin, Andre, Randy Moss, Reggie Wayne.
Yep.
You know,
They're all Hall of Famers, even if the ones that are still active retired now.
yep.
So
Reggie Wayne, I think, is retiring this year.
I thought he already said he did.
Yeah, he did.
So I guess
Yep.
that's something worth mentioning. He retired. He explained what Omaha meant, but I think he said it now because he won't have another chance later. And Denver or Peyton's gonna go too. Peyton ain't gonna last.
This is Peyton Manning's last game.
It is, and what a fitting way in a way. But so yeah. So what was I saying about the Cardinals? Honestly, since their reign is over, if I had to say anything they needed help on, either defensive end or get a quarterback now, because then you could do the Aaron Rodgers treatment for when your current guy goes and retires. You can put him in, and he'll take control. I as much as I hate Aaron Rodgers, Bill, I don't blame the Packers for doing that. But
No, you do what is in the best interest of the team.
and getting the quarterback that helps you a lot because he got the experience from Brett Favre and watched him and had time to develop already to avoid the mistakes.
To be fair, if Indianapolis still had Peyton Manning, they'd still be a Super Bowl team.
Yep, but they were like, "Oh, I'm so impatient. We could do it without you, Peyton. We don't need you, and that's why I'm glad they failed and missed the playoffs."
I mean, here's the issue: you do what's in the best interest of your team, but Andrew Luck could have sat on the bench and learned from Manning. So that way he could read a defense, and not be thrown into the fire, and credit to Andrew Luck for learning on the go, but the first year, I think he took a step backwards and he was injured all year, and
same thing happened this year.
Yep.
Took a step, injured back. But again, I shame the Colts for that stupid idea because their owner is impatient. They wanted to fire a coach that the team rallied behind. It's like I get why the Eagles did it with Chip Kelly because Chip Kelly had too much control, and it was clear they couldn't strip away his power. But you got a guy who's well loved by the team, and I want him to say if they keep playing this bad, by all means, keep him there forever if you have to, as long as Houston has a chance to, get ahead of them any time. But
Well, it's about the
that's
Eagles.
that's rivalry. That's my rival side speaking there.
About the Eagles. That's the ownership's fault for allowing him to get rid of those players.
Yep, but he couldn't
As
undo
the
it.
owner of the team, you can say, "No, I'm not doing that. Too bad. You make it work."
Yeah. But yep, shame to the Colts, and now they're paying for it. With honestly, to an extent, Houston is too because they let Kubiak and Wade Phillips go.
Oh man,
it was sad, but yes, the Cardinals will be fine. I think their team is very filled with depth, so I think they'll be fine. But it's just their Super Bowl window is closing about as fast as Dallas's is right now. But Dallas, I think what's happening to them is just karma from getting bad players like Greg Hardy. But anyway, Bill, let's transition to that team we mentioned, the AFC contender for the Super Bowl.
Yep.
This game, we thought the Patriots, you and me included, would just take care of business, stomp the Broncos, and Manning v. Brady, which was very, very likely the final one. If I were Brady, I would not want it to end this way. Well, actually, no matter who I would be, I would not want it to end this way.
Well,
what?
To be fair, it was a fun game to watch, and it was, I tuned in and watched that entire game from start to finish. Didn't get away from the TV during any moment of that game because that's the last time we're going to see that. Two greats like that playing, with a tremendous rivalry. Two of them are really Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
They both are.
I mean, you're just not going to see that much anymore. I watching that game was sort of like an end of an era for me.
Well, really, the end of an era ends on Sunday because the way I would describe Super Bowl 50, it's a transitioning point. The end of an old era and the beginning of a new. Cam Newton, along with other quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson and Andrew Luck signify the new generation of players, while Peyton Manning and Tom Brady are like the ones of old.
I'll put it this way: if I'm going to look at Hall of Fame quarterbacks from just compared from the last generation to this generation, I would say there's two Hall of Fame quarterbacks in this current generation of players, and there's about 4 or 5 in the old gen.
And who are your two from this current gen?
Current gen, Aaron Rodgers
and
Russell Wilson.
Oh, wow, you think Russell Wilson? I have no doubt the Seahawks will win another Super Bowl one day.
I'll throw in a caveat. If he turns around his season, he starts turning it around and not throwing 20 interceptions a year, I can see Andrew Luck making the Hall of Fame, but he has to win something.
I don't think it's his fault.
Yeah, it's not his fault. He's got a terrible defense
and a horrible offensive line. Like, the GM is an idiot. I think they fired him, did they?
I hope so.
I know they fired some people, but I think it's because that they've made a lot of bad choices in the draft. Kind of like what I'm saying with the Packers. If the Packers go for another wide receiver, which everyone's saying, oh, they should get a wide receiver because Jordy Nelson's old. What if he hurts himself again? He won't come out. You need defense, you fucking idiots.
And now to transition that thought back to the current game. No.
Well, because if I had to guess who would be the Hall of Famers, I have to say Rodgers, just because everyone else says so. I have no choice. But surprisingly, Bill, and I'm going off of just 1 year, I would have to go with Cam. But that's if he shows consistency. If not, then I'll pick Russell Wilson. But I think Russell Wilson will win one more Super Bowl guaranteed. When? I don't know. I can't predict that shit. The NFL showed us we can't predict anything this week.
I'll put it this way. I think Russell Wilson will turn into the running Drew Brees.
Well, he kind of has to run whether he wants to or not because
Yeah,
defenses keep chasing him.
but he's going to be the running Drew Brees, and that is a scary prospect because not only is Drew Brees super accurate, Russell Wilson's a really accurate
Is
quarterback.
Drew Brees in that list of old quarterbacks?
Yep, old quarterbacks. He'd be a Hall of
So then, who are
Famer.
the other two? Because I mean, these two from this game are obviously on
Brady,
it.
Manning, Brees. Um, I you might think this might be crazy, but you could make a case for Philip Rivers.
Actually, I was gonna put him on there as one of the kind of like not in a way like a Charles Barkley type of player. Because some people say, "Oh, Charles Barkley's the best player to never win a finals trophy." Kind of sad that he couldn't.
And let's see. Bleh.
I thought you were gonna say Tony Romo.
No, not Tony. Sadly, Tony's been just way too injured.
It's yeah, but in a way, I think his team just stops playing because I. Oh, by the way, I have a rant, not not about the Patriots for failing, but people
Oh, God.
around them. I think you'll know what I'm going to talk about in a minute, Bill. I'm kind of surprised this for you, but we'll get to it a little later, unless you'd rather me just get it out of the way now, because I want to talk about the game. But who is your fifth player for the MVP or not
I'm trying to
MVP?
think. I'm trying to think of it. So why don't you just go on your rant while I try to
No.
think?
Oh, I know who it is. Eli.
I could make a case for Eli.
I thought it would be him because he won 2 Super Bowls already, both against the Patriots.
Trying to think. Hold on.
I'll be honest, I really want one more Patriots v Giants in a Super Bowl, just so that way Tom Brady not only can win the one that puts him above everyone else, but also stick it to the team that ruined the chance.
Well, I won't lie. I want the Detroit Lions to go to the next 5 Super Bowls. So.
Of course you do. I would like Houston to, but as long as Hoyer's in the freaking roster, I don't ever want them to.
Oh, I know if I have Stafford, I've got a chance. That's
Oh,
all that matters.
Well, not just Stafford, but Cooter, Jim Bob Cooter,
Yeah.
and Cooter we trust. You could, while you think about that, I'll talk about how I felt about this game. Brady was not having a day at all. His line got crushed. It was really a bunch of bodies moving around, just getting pushed over by Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, what's his name? Derek Wolfe, I think. The nose tackle, something like that.
Yeah,
It's
something
just-
like that.
He threw 2 bad picks. He made some pretty bad mistakes, and he missed some throws. But to be fair, he had to work with what he had left. Because this was a very injury-prone team. All the shuffling of the offensive line in the world couldn't have made a difference. Had they had their main guys there from the beginning, I think they could have won. Even without Dion Lewis and LeGarrette Blount. I mean, imagine if Dion Lewis were there. I think that would have definitely have kept the Broncos on their toes.
Yeah.
So, what really surprised me, here's the crazy thing, in terms of rushing, the best rushers in the game were the oldest players there. Peyton and Brady.
Yep.
It's kind of sad in a way, but
Yep.
I was glad to see them both run for their lives. They really were. But Brady especially. What?
Could you imagine a rushing battle between Peyton Manning and Cam Newton in the Super Bowl, and just how crazy that would be?
The oldest quarterback and one of the youngest.
In a rushing battle. But I did come up with the last quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh yeah, how could we forget him? I feel bad. Big Ben, of course, he has to be one because when he has all his weapons, and Antonio Brown especially, he is a monster.
I mean, he's still pretty much a monster no matter what.
Well, yeah, you saw what he had to work with against the Denver defense. But to be fair, I don't think the Denver defense showed up entirely against the Steelers because, we don't need to put that much effort. Just got to save it for Brady. I think that's what they did,
Yep.
and it somehow worked, but
Barely.
barely. But okay, so what we mentioned earlier was that Gostowski missed the first touchdown or extra point kick. Had he
Yep.
made that, they would have been an extra point from touching. He admitted he lost the game, and you were mentioning earlier, Bill, how you hate that it came down to that.
Yeah,
But
I hate that rule change. It's still a stupid rule change, and it costs the defending champions a right to go to the Super Bowl. See, if you played the game and it's 7-7, and you force the game to be played by both the offense and the defense. You don't give Denver momentum because Goskowski missed a kick from 33 yards away just because it's windy or just a sudden gust of wind, or he just shanks it because he misplanted. You put it into the hands. You give the game into the hands of freaking Tom Brady. You give it into the hands of Peyton Manning. Those are the stars. The kickers are not the stars of the league. NFL. The kickers are not the stars. We shouldn't be forced to make the kickers the stars.
and when they miss, they're treated like the biggest scapegoats. The best example was the Vikings one. Remember, people were mad at him for a while, except for first graders. He had to have first graders comfort him. Kind of a sad world. It's like
imagine
what?
Imagine if the Super Bowl, if Denver's kicker misses an extra point
Or
in the
Carolina's.
first
It
quarter.
could be either or.
Yeah, either or. They miss an extra point in the first quarter, and it comes down to the end of the game, and it's 21-20, and because you miss one stupid extra point from a dumb rule change in the Super Bowl, just because you slip or whatever, that it should be. I'm an old school guy. If it worked a long time ago, it should work now. And I would rather see a 21-21 game go into overtime and be decided by Cam Newton or Peyton Manning rather than Brandon McManus or Graham Gano. Sorry.
Yep. So with that said, I want to call out the Patriots for not going for an extra a field goal twice. They were denied 2 times before they had the touchdown to get it. And I'm going to say, had they got that with that touchdown, had they got the one field goal and they got the touchdown, that would have been 9 points. It was what, 18? It was 20 to 12. It was 20 to 12. That would have been at the very least 9 points, enough to get a 1-point lead.
Yep.
Not counting an extra point or a 2-point conversion. They would have probably gone for 2 had everything I say came true, because a field goal would have only tied it. But
Right.
you would have put that situation I said earlier into Peyton's hands. You got to play from behind. I bet if he played from behind, he would have made mistakes. He might have turned the ball over. I don't know. I can't guarantee it. But it just feels that's what usually happened in the regular season. When he had to play from behind, he made mistakes. And hope that the defense will pick up the slack. Unless it was a game that they are completely in control of, like the Patriots game this past week or the Packers game. But even so, I get why he went for it, because you wanted to tie it up right away so you'd have time to win it later, but I would have still wanted the field goal now, because it would have been an easier task. And if you did get the touchdown later, again, you'd flip the situation on its head and really put Denver in a bind, because let's say they did that and got the touchdown. How much time would the Broncos have had to win the game? 12 seconds. No timeouts. It would have been. You would have had to ask for a Hail Mary from Peyton Manning, who probably can't throw that far. So it was either you take that chance or switch Brock Osweiler to be it, since he has the better, not the better arm, but can probably throw farther without feeling as much pain. Because
Right.
every time I see Peyton warm up, I feel like I see a cringe of pain in his face. Like, ugh, it hurts to throw. But I gotta throw so I can win one more trophy.
Yep, I'm pretty sure this is his last game.
But I swear, I bet Brady's thinking this. He knows this is the end, and if it really is, he did not want it to end like this. He wanted to win in the title game in the playoffs where people say, "Oh, Peyton's better in the playoffs." He's beat him 3-1 or 2-1 in the title games. It's like, no, you could have beaten him, but even so, he still has like overall. But that record, nobody's not going to shut up about when it comes to debating who's the better quarterback between Manning or Brady, because that debate's going to happen for a while now. You know what I mean? It's one of those. It's like who win a fight between Goku and Superman. It's like that kind. It will never go away, no matter what you do. Like, Bill, who would you say is better, Peyton or Brady? Who's the better QB? Be honest.
I gotta go. See, that's a tough one because championships don't tell the whole story. I feel like Indianapolis handcuffed Peyton Manning with a terrifyingly bad defense.
And then they blamed him for it when he got hurt.
Exactly, and they blamed him for it when they lost in the playoffs. No, the defense sucks. That's what killed the freaking Colts.
That's what killed them this season too.
They've had a shitty defense for 20 years.
That's because the owner and GM, like I mentioned earlier, have nothing of a mindset, but let's just get offensive players and we will win every single game. Defense, what is that? It's like they were like cavemen who just want the best weapon to beat the shit out of the guy next to them.
And I know this is going to sound controversial because I think they're 1A both. But
what do you got, Bill?
If I got Peyton Manning.
I got Tom Brady because I have it on the other side. I'm like, to me, you could have all the damn records you want, but sooner or later, someone's going to break them.
Well, here's the other issue, is the way that Peyton Manning orchestrates an offense. There's going to be nothing like it ever again. So it's best to just sort of enjoy it while it lasts and sort of watch it for one last time, because I don't think there's going to be another quarterback just like him.
I see and again with what I was saying, I'm like on the other side. Brady sometimes, in this case, had to work with nothing. Like the first time they played when Gronk was gone, who did he have? Keyshawn Martin, the guy, I forget his first name, White.
Yeah,
he had
Whitehead.
Yeah, and Scott Chandler, I think. The other tight end. You see, he had to work with nobodies. And he still was able to, orchestrate a touchdown that took it to overtime in that first game. You can give him almost anything, and he'll try to make some magic happen. Like the fourth quarter, the last drive, it was like a 4th and 10, 4th and 20. He just chucked it to it was like it was you make it or you break it. Got it to Gronk. And then later, got a touchdown to Gronk on 4th and 10 or 4th and goal. And then 2-point conversion. Gronk was actually open, but he couldn't see. And I was like, you know what? He could have tossed it to White, who was from Brady's point of view, to like his right. I think he could have made it in barely, but
I guess my issue with that ending play, that 2-point conversion, and we're at the very end of the game. My issue with that was that you have the tallest player on the field, just throw it to him. You have the tallest player on the field. You have a 6'5" guy in Chandler, and you have a 6'7" guy in Gronkowski. Get it to him. Just stack Chandler and Gronkowski on the same side. Who you gonna cover? The 6'7" guy or the 6'5" guy? Good luck.
Yeah. But the other thing, Denver's defense is stacked, but here's to me its major thing. I don't care if Brock Osweiler is as good as some people think he is. That defense will not last for long. It was purposely built to get Peyton Manning one more Super Bowl, and as of right now, it's worked. It's got him there. Whether it wins him there, we won't know until next Sunday. But tell me, someone persuade me, especially after Von Miller's game today, or yesterday, or 2 days ago in our case, tell me how you're going to keep him and DeMarcus Ware, because DeMarcus Ware is getting old. Some people think, oh, he'll play one more year, but in Dallas. He wants to retire where he started. You know, some players do that, right, Bill? Some
Right.
players like, okay, it's my final year. I want to go with my original team to retire with them. Retire as what I was started as. That might have again. That's just rumor. He could just spend his final year as a Bronco, or just retire if they win the Super Bowl.
I can see him retiring after winning the Super Bowl, to be honest.
I could see him too. Just go out, go. Not like Peyton won't be the only one leaving Denver on a horse into the sunset. DeMarcus Ware
Yeah.
will go with him. But
I mean, the Broncos are not going to be the same team after this year.
yeah, especially if they
This-
win. Same thing could be said with the Panthers, but I think the Panthers are going to do something akin to the Seahawks, where they will take smaller contracts because they know separate we can't do much, but together we can be that Super Bowl team. I think that's what they might do. I don't know.
I mean, it's all up to the players.
It
if
is
they
up to the
wanna
players.
take
Just
us.
something tells me maybe, because I mean,
Nah.
if the Seahawks, because I thought the Seahawks were going to break apart, Bill. I thought Marshawn, or not Marshawn Lynch.
To be fair, they did.
Some of them did. What's his name? Maxwell left, and he's paying for it. Like Cam Chancellor nearly did, but I think he realized that he had a better chance with him there. I think he's a little overrated.
Cam Chancellor is going to probably get paid
He is getting
this
paid.
year.
I thought he got his new
Yeah.
contract already.
Oh, he did?
I think he
Okay.
got his new contract, but you know, all those defensive players, anyone else will take them for a really high price, but the Seahawks offered low because they want to keep everyone there and not go over the cap.
I mean, it really all depends on the player if he wants to stay there for low. If he doesn't want to stay there for low, he's going to get paid the big bucks and he's gonna go. I mean, you saw with Ndamukong Suh. The Lions offered him a reasonable contract.
He was 60 with 39 million guaranteed.
Yeah, it was,
and he turned it down because he wanted 69 million, or how much was 89 million guaranteed? I don't know.
I don't even know, and I don't care because that's a non-issue to me anymore.
Because to me, Bill, if the Broncos win the Super Bowl, I think their egos are going to get the best of them now. It's like, oh, because of us, because of me, you got to the Super Bowl. You should pay me a lot. Because Von Miller's going to want a lot now, especially after that game. And I'm like, there's no way you can keep the whole defense without paying him a lot.
You always it all depends on leverage. Peyton Manning's contract is off the books after this year, so I mean that's free money.
He wins $2 more million if he wins the Super Bowl. He's got $2 million for beating Brady this game.
Yeah, I mean Von Miller is going to get paid, and he's going to get a big deal.
He's getting the franchise tag next season, no question about it.
I feel like here's the issue for Denver. Denver has no quarterback, and they're not going to have a quarterback on the roster. Who are they going to replace Peyton Manning with?
They're going to use Brock Osweiler.
Yeah. I mean, Brock Osweiler.
It's why he was there. It's why he was there in the first place.
But he's not under contract after this year either.
Oh. Because
that's
it's like a situation with Kirk Cousins at this point. Had it great when he came in. He lit the field on fire, and everyone's like, "Oh God, you gotta keep him, you gotta sign him, pay him lots of money." But then at the end, when it mattered, fizzled out. So
I mean, here's the issue: is they don't have a quarterback under contract after this year. So either they're moving up in the draft and giving away stuff to get a quarterback, or they're going to draft in the very end of the first round and draft a quarterback. It's a conundrum for Denver, and there's really no good quarterbacks on the market, and that's why
the best one to me is Jared Goff, and I think the Cleveland Browns are going to ruin him, just like they ruin every other quarterback they draft. Ugh, not even their fault. But you know what? I guess it's just the curse. He should never want to be drafted by the Browns. Never. But anyway, so Bill, I'm saying that defense was built for one Super Bowl trip. They're not going to get another chance like that again with that same amount of players. Maybe I'm wrong. I really don't think I will be. Maybe I'll eat my words. But all right, Bill, I'm going to get this little rant out of the way because oh boy, when they lost, Patriots haters were just like, that'll teach you, Tom Brady. You're not good. Oh, you're nothing. You're all nothing but cheaters. You cheated with Deflategate. And to be honest, I don't know if Brady's going to even get a chance to play next season because that court case resumes. And what if it goes against Brady? They're going to try to suspend him for longer than 4 games. And you're wasting time with that in that case. And I can't trust Jimmy Garoppolo to be a hero yet. I don't know what to expect.
I'll put it this way: it's difficult to overturn a case again, and with the lack of evidence that the NFL has already, they have a lack of evidence, and
It depends.
Need evidence
no, continue.
You need evidence to overturn stuff. You can't just overturn it because you don't like the ruling that you got. It would have been the exact same situation had Brady lost. He would have had a lack of evidence against the NFL. Whoever lost the case in the first place was at the disadvantage going into the appellate court.
I really hope you're right, but we will know by the time we get to when we have our pre-draft and post-draft video or podcasts.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, Brady had his chance now because if he won this Super Bowl, let's say he beat the Broncos and beat the Panthers. He would have got the trophy, been above everyone else, could have retired, and then the NFL would have had to drop the case. Because what could you do? Oh, we're still going to press you and suspend you. Oh yeah, suspend a retired player. That's a smart idea. Waste of time and money. They would have dropped the case because Brady's no longer going to play. They're fine. It's like, okay, now we can get other players and other teams like the Packers and the Cowboys to go instead of him. Because the NFL's tired of the Patriots winning. They're really tired of them. Not surprised, but they want other teams like the Panthers to win.
Dynasties sell.
They do, but I guess in this case, up to a certain point. There's only so long a dynasty can go before teams or fans of other teams start to hate them because they're tired of them winning all the time. My advice to you then, get good. Get good and beat them. Don't whine about them when they kick your ass, calling them cheaters, because this goes into my next point, Bill.
Oh, God.
People keep like, oh, they're cheaters. Okay, yes, Spygate, that was true. Deflategate, no way. I don't believe it was because, honestly, Goodell was really pushed by the other owners to just slam the Patriots hard. And you know what's the sad part? The Patriots owner, Robert Kraft, was the very reason he's even a commissioner. Here's how I thank you. Slam your team, get rid of your best player for 4 games, make you pay $1 million, take away 2 draft picks. Wow, what a great way to show your respect to a guy who got you the best job you could ever ask for. But first off, if you're gonna bag on the Patriots being cheaters and act like your team is entirely innocent, I only need to refer to you to one certain website. Go to Google and Google your team cheats, and go find your favorite team or teams if you like multiple teams like me, and look at all the problems they've done. Look at all the times they've cheated. And tell me that your team is perfectly clean, squeaky clean, never done anything and is a fucking angel. Because they are not. Every team cheats, they have cheated, and they always will cheat. And it's not just in the NFL, it's also in baseball. Remember the St. Louis Cardinals, Bill? What did they do?
Oh, yeah.
They were caught cheating against my Houston Astros, spying on their plays and seeing what they were trying to do.
They were literally hacking into the Houston Astros, that way they could get their scouting reports on their own players, that way they could trade for players for low if they thought they were worth something.
Yep. So yeah, your team cheats. I don't care how much you love them. You can be a huge fan, because I heard this a lot from Cowboys fans and Packers fans especially. Oh, they're salty. I mean, yes, I am a Cowboys fan, and one guy's like, but aren't you a Cowboys fan? Like, yes, I like the Cowboys, but I'll be the first to admit, the Cowboys fans are some of the most spoiled fan bases. Like, here's the thing. I get you can pity a Cowboys fan because when Romo goes down, but as a whole, never pity the Cowboys, never pity the Packers, never pity the Steelers. It's like, you know how I've ever heard the saying, Bill, never pity a Yankees fan?
Yeah.
they've been bathed in luxury. Like, there's a joke I hear on a football podcast called "The Throne of Ease" with the Patriots, and you're absolutely right. In fact, once Brady retires, I get the feeling the Patriots fans are going to really start to get on my nerves because I think they're also going to fall into the same boat. Now, that won't mean I'll leave the fan base. I'm still going to support the Patriots because I like their team. I don't like their players like Gronk and Edelman, but you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So all in all, my final points are: your team's a cheater too, whether it's as much as the Patriots or less. You figure that out and judge yourself, though you'll probably try your hardest to deny that they even are cheaters, even if that website has actual sources to back it up. The Tom Brady is the GOAT. Of course, I still say he's the GOAT. I know you like Peyton, and I think he's a great player. I'm pretty sure, but I'm like, to me, championship or trophies matter more than records. But that's just me. It's like apples and oranges at this point, Bill. When it comes to debating that,
I look at it as who revolutionized the game.
that's true. But I just like it. I like the idea of you winning trophies, and becoming the leader for your team and helping them find success consistently.
Oh yeah, I'm like I said, Brady and Manning are 1 and 1A. You can barely distinguish both of them. I look at the overall lasting impact of both. Brady was a pocket passer, but he played within a system, and really it wasn't revolutionary. What Peyton Manning did was revolutionary. He was a coach on the field. He's changing plays. He's getting 3 plays called at him. He's reading the defense, get you into the correct play, and they just dissect.
Well, that logic, then the one who's going to revolutionize the game next is who you think is your future Hall of Famer, Russell Wilson, because he is a revolutionary in terms of the mobile quarterback. Because technically he got drafted before Cam did, right? Or did they get?
No, after.
Oh, he did. Wow. Technically, then Cam should be, but I think Russell Wilson made it noticeable in a way.
Like I said, Russell Wilson is a mix between Cam Newton's running ability and Drew Brees' passing ability.
Is he as accurate as Drew Brees? I don't think he is. Entirely.
He's starting to go on the upward trend in, completion percentage.
That's good for him. But actually, Bill, what's the next Brady v. Manning? Because it's clear it's in the NFC side. And I think I like to think it is Cam and Russell because they keep playing. They've played almost every year for the past 3 years, sometimes twice if you count playoffs.
To be honest, I really wouldn't know the answer to that question right
now
because
I have 3 possibilities. That one?
I don't think there is. I don't think that even exists right now, to be honest.
I don't know. Well, because if the Panthers win a Super Bowl, then all of a sudden you have 2, well, technically 3. And these are my possibilities. A combination of between Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Cam Newton. 2 of these guys got to be big rivals with each other at some point. I think it's going to be those 2 who I just mentioned. Because Rodgers is older, and I'm pretty sure he would have his own rival at some other point. I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, really, Rodgers' only other rivals were the quarterbacks he was more contemporary with.
What, Stafford and Cutler?
Contemporary as in he played more against, which I would say would be the Mannings of the world, the Bradys of the world, the Breezes of the world.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait for Giants and Packers next year because it's going to be a shootout. I don't know who I'd rather win.
Rodgers is in a weird middle ground.
He's in between generations.
Yes, he's in that weird middle ground. And
same with Stafford, I think.
Yeah. I could agree with that.
So, like, I think they're their own group. Tim, Stafford, Dalton.
Yeah, they're the old guard, really.
Or the somewhat recent, and now the recent are the ones we were talking about. But Bill, there's 2 other things I'd like to mention news-wise.
Okay.
The first thing, the linebackers coach for Houston had an opportunity to become a defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. He got the clear from Houston to go take the interview. He got it, and his decision: I'm going back to Houston. He went back to Houston to stay as the linebackers coach, but I'm really glad he decided to stay because it's better there. Because this is a spoiler alert. One of my I have two or three candidates for the worst organization. One of them is the 49ers because of how they just threw Tom Sula under the bus and said it's all your fault and you're fired.
Yep.
You fired. It was sad. I really don't like that, but I'm glad he decided to come back. He's staying. The linebackers need help because I like how they played Whitney Merciless especially. He's one of my silent favorite linebackers of the game.
Right.
And then if Clowney ever, as you saw towards the end of the year before he got hurt again, as he gets more snaps, he becomes more of the monster you saw in college. I just want him to plow in between tackles and just slam himself into a unsuspecting quarterback. I don't know who it'd be, but it'll be a great thing to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, the other thing, this is also one with Houston, but they also fired their special teams coach. I don't get why they did it because when a punt return happens now and again, but it's not like it kept happening. If it happened twice in the same game, then go ahead. But it was just once, and that set the tone for the game. Yeah, but honestly, I would throw most of the blame on Hoyer because the defense did their job. They even gave him an opportunity to do something, but he just kept giving the ball back to the Chiefs. So it's like that. To me, that was on Hoyer. I would have fired him if anyone. But Bill, you mentioned this one to me earlier. What happened with New England? They fired a coach too.
Yeah, they fired their offensive line coach after that hideous performance in the AFC title game where Tom Brady was running for his life. Literally, they had an APB for literally the Denver Police Department tweeted out a all-points bulletin for the New England offensive line, and I was both laughing and I was like, "Oh man, that is ferocious." So he got fired, and to be fair, after a game where you can't stop anybody and your quarterback is getting absolutely destroyed, I think it might have been an overreaction, but you never know. You just don't know the politics behind the scenes.
Yep. Anyway, Bill, surprised. We actually did make this meet our usual 1-hour quota. But Bill, now let's get our initial thoughts on who would win Super Bowl 50. Bill,
all right.
Well, let's start with you. Who do you think will win Super Bowl 50 for now? Because things can change within a week.
My initial pick is the Denver Broncos. And I'll put it this way. I think the Denver Broncos have the better offense, slightly better defense, better special teams, better coach. I feel like Carolina doesn't measure up in all those areas, especially the offense. Denver still has Emmanuel Sanders. They still have freaking Owen Daniels, and they still have freaking Demaryius Thomas.
I have one thing to say about Owen Daniels. I really want to kick Houston in the ass for letting him walk. I thought he was our best tight end that we've ever had in a while, or not in a while since the franchise was young. He was by far, I think, our best tight end. And I've nothing against Ryan Griffin. He's good enough, but I really liked Owen Daniels when I saw him. And I was really bummed out when he went to the Ravens, and now he's with the Broncos, where he's likely to stay because Kubiak likes him, and he was in his system for a while. So obviously, you saw the benefits.
And I feel that it's just I feel like Manning is on a mission. And you kind of saw it in the AFC title game. He was giving it everything he had to try to win the game. And I think in the Super Bowl, you're going to see a Peyton Manning playing possessed. I really, I have this weird feeling, and it's a weird feeling, and it's just not quantifiable. But I get that feeling where Peyton Manning's going to turn back the clock, and he's just going to go absolutely off, play out of his mind, and have a great game. And he's just going to go out and be the old Peyton Manning one last time, and he wins the Super Bowl and he leaves the game.
Hmm. He's gonna go out like the old sheriff that he is, right?
Yep.
All right, Bill.
Exactly.
Now, should he win? Should that happen, Bill? I get the feeling John Elway is gonna come down from the top of the stadium, take the trophy away from Peyton Manning, and be like, "This one's for John too."
Oh,
Just
God.
act like he's.
If he does that, he deserves to be knocked off the stage immediately.
I heard that joke on a podcast too, and I just found that so hilarious. I wanted to surprise you with that, Bill. This one's for John. I don't even know if he talks like that.
Oh, God.
I don't. That's why I asked if you knew what he said, because I wanted to know if he really did say something like that.
Oh,
but he
no,
won the
that
Super
was
Bowl.
that was the radio broadcast of the Denver Broncos when they finally hoisted up the Lombardi Trophy, and they were like, "This one's for John," and that was the iconic thing.
Yeah, so he'll take the trophy like, this one's for John too. Oh God, stick it to him. But okay, let's get on my pick. I'm on the other side because this is how it should be. Because according to NFL's Pick'em weekly Pick'em, the Broncos have 28% of the user consensus, and the Panthers have 72. And I'm on the other side, so basically it's kind of fitting that we're on both sides because we could say why each side deserves to win. In my case, it's Cam Newton's year, Bill, and this feels like a transition phase in the NFL. Like we were talking young and old. This Cam Newton is representing the young, the new generation of players that are going to be coming up here in the coming years to hoist the trophy on their own. And I think considering how Cam has played out of his mind right now, if he's not throwing the ball, he's running it in himself for a touchdown. And he's playing so good, and he's played some formidable defenses, but this is his ultimate test. You're playing against the best. Some argue it is the best, one of the best in statistically speaking. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. This game will, add some more foundation for that, maybe, or it might not. Because we all agree the 85 Bears are the best. This defense ain't no 85 Bears, but it could be, 2,000 Ravens or something.
Uh-huh.
So, the way I see it, he mincemeated two great defenses in the NFC, which you could argue are just below the Broncos. You made mincemeat out of the Seahawks, Legion of Boom. They were a joke for the first half. 31 points on them, and then to top that off, you had the Cardinals defense, who while their front seven isn't as formidable, I think their secondary, especially with Honey Badgers there, is the best in the league. And you dropped almost 50 points on them. It's insane. So I like how the Panthers are playing red hot, and honestly it's hard to hit Cam Newton even when he's not trying to run, because some say the Cowboys' offensive line is the best this season, or still in general. That might be true, but I thought for a while the best offensive line this year alone was the Panthers, because Cam Newton was not getting hit as much as you would have thought if you had to guess, before the season started. Like, oh, he's probably going to get sacked a lot, especially since a lot of his weapons are gone.
Yep.
He's working with a lot of what you might consider not so good, because all he has are Jonathan Stewart and Greg Olsen.
I mean, really, the only main threat they have on offense is Greg Olsen.
Yeah, Ted Ginn Jr. I saw him stick it to the Cardinals a lot of the players are going to be playing through some pain, so that is a little factor to consider. Because they will be playing through pain, and they could risk, making a serious injury that could, ruin themselves for the rest of the game.
Literally, I have a tough time picking against my boy, freaking Luke Kuechly, but
He's the best linebacker this year, hands down. If it's not Watt that would get the defensive MVP, I don't think he's not getting it. He has to. It's Luke Kuechly.
I would, if there's any non-Detroit player I would get a freaking jersey of, I would get freaking Luke Kuechly.
If there is any of those four teams I like, since you're talking about this, I would have to go for I want to go for a Derek Carr or a Khalil Mack. I don't know. I like those two Raiders. Amari Cooper, I'm waiting for him to break out, but I really like Khalil Mack, and I'm pretty sure he'll be another J.J. Watt in the AFC at this rate. But Anyway, so yeah, I have the Panthers. I could change my mind, but this is something both teams have considered. They pointed it out, and it's absolutely correct. They have 2 weeks now to rest up and get healthy. Well, the players that can get healthy to get healthy. To study the film, which honestly, burn it. It doesn't matter. Because you can't predict what the Panthers were doing, and you can't predict how the Broncos defense will do. You have to study what you can, then, in other words. You got to study what you can from these other two teams, have plenty of time for reps, and you get the gist of it. They have plenty of time to prepare. So this one's going to be hard to predict.
This week is the preparation week. The second week is the distraction week. You get your preparation done early. You get through all the distractions. You get to Friday in practice and Saturday in practice, and then you go out and play on Super Bowl Sunday, and there you go.
Yep, so Bill has the Broncos, I have the Panthers. Should be an interesting one. I am very excited for that, despite I would have rather had Cardinals and Patriots, because he would have had two great coaches. To me, they're the best coaches right now, though. It's very clear half of the awards that are going to come in the NFL honors are going to go to Panthers players. But anyway,
no idea.
Have anything else to say, Bill, about your boy Peyton Manning before we get to next week?
I think we'll save a lot of our talk about those sort of players next week when the actual game is on tap almost, and do that sort of stuff.
All right, so yeah, next we have technically 2 more weeks of football talks, Bill, so we're getting close to the end. We have the pre-Super Bowl and then post-Super Bowl, and while that's not technically the end of the season, we have the draft for the next season, and that's really when it ends. But, we're done with we're virtually done with another year, Bill.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
How fast time flies, but, when you enjoy something, when you enjoy something like this, it just goes by too fast.
Exactly.
It's like when you play a game and get invested into it. So much time passes when you just stop and realize, to check the clock. In this case, we check the calendar, and holy shit, Super Bowl Sundays in a week.
It feels like only the first year we've been doing this, but we've been doing this for, 3 years now?
This will be the second one we actually completed. We tried 1 year, but we stopped. But this will be the second one we officially complete. I promise, though, I'm going to try to get some kind of, like a better image, I don't know what you'd call it, like a template going for this, and try to make it better.
Future plans.
Yeah, I'm just saying that now. I just want to promise it now so I can try to deliver it, and I have plenty of months to do it. But anyway, that'll do for this week. We will see you next week, pre-Super Bowl. It's going to be grand, Super Bowl 50. I hope I get to see the Panthers uniform so I can either be pleased with what they show or disappoint. I swear, if Bill, what you say is right and they're going to do the color rush, I'm going to gag. Alright, that'll do it. We will see you guys next week.